Thank you, Bob. I have been proud to be vegan for the past 34 years, and I'll tell you, I've never felt prouder than today. The remarkable shining spirits that have come here and shared their light with us. Everyone has been an inspiration to me today. I feel more inspired and energized than ever for both my contemporaries and the younger people here who are picking up this torch and spreading the word around for their own sakes and the kids coming after them. And my hope for success has certainly increased today. And it's a real privilege and honor to be here. And again, thanks to the brilliance and industry of Bob and Go Vegan Radio and all your team who helped make this happen. Thank you so much. So Bob asked me if I wanted to speak. I said, sure. He said, what do you want me to talk about? He says, well, how about the persuasive points, the best health arguments you can make? And I took that out. I said, okay, but I'm a man of peace. I'm not a big argument guy, and I felt uncomfortable using the word argument there. So it turned into health persuasion points here. But then I had another quandary, thinking, who are we trying to convince here? Because I have all these medical reasons about why plant-based diets are helpful, and if you're trying to talk to a skeptical doctor, there are certainly things to say to help convince them. But really, and absolutely, the doctors need to be convinced, and they're very, very important. But who really needs to be convinced, of course, is Joe Sixpack. Your neighbor, my neighbor, but it might be your dad, it might be your older brother, it might be the guy in the next cubicle, it might be the bus driver, people who are out there trying to do good work and live a good life. They don't know, they just don't know, they're still asleep. Unless you've been fortunate enough to be raised in a vegan household, you were brought up eating animal flesh just like I was, and until you know, you don't know. But once you know, that's something else. But our friends around here, the pre-vegans, they just don't know, and they need to be awakened a bit, help to awaken. And so we're going to talk to you about how you approach both of these folks. So I'm going to start with the doctor. Why should doctors care about vegan diet? Because it is the definitive treatment for our obesity epidemic. We really have to come to grips with this. We are seeing obese people everywhere. You see them on the street, in the stores, but you see them in the media, you see them in the TV commercials, you see them in the sitcoms. And obesity is becoming accepted. And there's a bit of a chippy attitude. Yeah, I know I'm overweight, I'm fat, but that's just the way I am. You got a problem with it, that's your problem. Working on your own thing. Well, and then a lot of them have lots of smiles on their faces in the TV commercials when they're taking their pills and drive down those cholesterol numbers, get those numbers you're looking for, as if the numbers are going to save you. The numbers are not going to save you. I look and I see what are these people laughing at. Obesity is a disease state. It is not a state of health. Let's get a little scientific here. All of us have been enjoying these wonderful vegan meals this weekend. If you eat a nice, healthy, plant-based meal, and an hour later you draw blood, the blood settles out in the glass too. The red clot goes to the bottom, and the liquid part of the blood, the serum rises up to the top. And this is what your blood should look like after you eat a meal. This is what all the blood in this room would look like because of this lovely lunch that we had. But Joe Sixpack eats food like this, and you have a burgers, fries, and shake, you have a pizza, chicken, olive oil on your salad. All the fat that they're eating, the saturated fat in the muscle, the butter fat in the cheese, the egg yolks in the mayonnaise, all this fat oozes out into the blood. And for the next 5 hours, their blood looks like this. This milky material here, this is called lipemia. Lipemia means fat in the blood. And the blood stays this way for about 5 hours. Not everybody shows it this optically densely, but everybody has a wave of fat that goes through their bloodstream after a fatty meal. Well, how could they not? And you can see it. If you give someone a fatty meal and you draw a tube of blood every hour, and you take those 5 tubes of blood and you put them into a spectrophotometer that measures how milky the serum is getting. You can see it getting milkier and milkier and milkier. As the lactescence index takes about 5 hours for the liver to begin to clear it out of it. Well, reality check with this phenomenon. You know, out of sight, out of mind, it's not out of your bloodstream. Reality check. Most people in Western societies eat animal flesh 3 times a day. My heavens, people, not even mountain lions eat animal flesh 3 times a day. But we naked apes in this wealthy society gives ourselves permission for this non-stop flesh orgy. Every 5 hours, a piece of animal muscles going down our gullet like ghouls, like zombies. We got, oh, I need more than 5 hours, more animal flesh. And we do. And bacon and eggs for breakfast go down the gullet, and a wave of fat goes to the bloodstream, and the blood stays fatty all morning to about noontime, until the liver can begin to clear it out of there, just in time to send another wave of fat through the bloodstream. And after lunch, the blood stays fatty all afternoon till about 6 o'clock in the evening, just in time to visit the colonel and send another wave of fat through the bloodstream. The blood stays fatty for about 10 o'clock at night till you're heading back to the bedroom, but stop off at the fridge and send another wave of fat through the bloodstream. And the reality is most Americans are keeping their blood fatty all day. The stuff never clears out of the bloodstream. Well, you keep your blood fatty 30, 40, 50 years. Is there any question about what is going to happen? And there's consequences to this, big consequences to this. There's more than just fat in their blood. There is a witch's brew of health-damaging molecules that set people up for everything from diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, heart attacks. I don't have time to go into all of those right now. But going back to the fat in the blood, when your blood is running thick with fat, it starts depositing out all over the body, in the artery walls. I'll show you what that looks like, but it deposits out in the fat stores. That's what the fat depots are for. Now, the abdominal body fat starts getting bigger and bigger, and it's not good. This fat is metabolically active, and it's not your friend. There's 2 kinds of fat. The fat under the skin is metabolically active. It makes estrogens, gives women breast lumps, gives them heavy periods, gives guys man boobs, sets them up for prostate cancer. This is not good to have a bunch of subcutaneous fat under your skin. And the fat in the abdomen puts out molecules called inflammatory cytokines. They set off inflammatory reactions throughout the body, from arthritis to blood vessels. There is a panoply of diseases that are made worse by these inflammatory processes, from asthma to cancer. Obesity is a disease state. It is not healthy. It is nothing to laugh about and make jokes about. I tell my people, your body is never okay. You can't tell your body, oh, you're itchy. No, what's that? You know, like your body doesn't know. Your body knows everything. Shakespeare says, thine own self be true. Dr. Klaper says, no, health be true. Thine own bloodstream be true. Now, the beauty is that a vegan diet is a whole food vegan diet is the definitive treatment for this. The trick to get yourself a lean, healthy body is keep your belly full of healthy stuff that doesn't stick to you, and whole plant foods don't do that. You don't have to eat breakfast. You can have a little fruit if you'd like. But lunches and dinners should be hung on the 4S clothesline here: soup, salad, steamed greens, and starches. Why? The beauty of a healthy plant-based diet is you eat all the food you want and you wind up lean and healthy. Why? Because the calorie density is so low. It's mostly fiber and water that we're eating. And a baked potato in a salad has 170 calories in it. You can eat 10 of these a day. Who can eat 10 potatoes a day? You can eat 10 of these a day, and you're going to get lean. Still, you're only eating 700 calories. It's still a weight loss diet. And that's the beauty of this food. That's why most vegans are lean. We'll talk about the lean ones in a minute here. But when people adopt a whole food plant-based diet, the changes are so dramatic. We've all seen it here. If you stick around long enough, either yourself or your friends who become vegan, you see the beautiful changes that happen. Now, the things that you really want to eliminate in all shapes and forms are dairy products. It's baby calf growth fluid, and cheese is congealed baby calf growth fluid. It is full of estrogens that give women breast lumps, give guys man boobs, like little girls go through puberty at age 8. And it makes you look like a bovine. Look at these two women on the left. They think they're healthy, but they're dairy eaters. I can see the dairy eaters when they walk in my office door. I can recognize the dairy eaters from the bloat in their faces and the fullness of their neck. 12 weeks later, the pictures on the right are 12 weeks in each of these same women without the dairy products. You see what happens. You see the bloat leave their faces. You see their jawlines emerge. It's a beautiful, wonderful change that happens. So, if you want to help your patients, your friends, start getting leaner, see that the dairy's got to go too. Don't let them linger in lacto-veg land. You're not doing them a favor by a long shot. Most vegans get lean. If not, if you are overweight vegan, what's going on? You're doing a couple of things that transgress some rules. You're either eating too many refined carbohydrates. I want to eat those carbs. Nothing wrong with carbohydrates in their whole form. Whole quinoa, it's not going to make you fat. Whole rice, whole beans, these are carbohydrate rich, but as long as they're in their whole form with their fiber, etc., they're not going to make you heavy. But you send it to the miller, they turn it into powder called flour. You've lost the fiber, and then they turn it into cakes and pastries and breads and pastas. Refined carbohydrates will keep you stuck. Too much processed food. Now, I see heavy vegans, I know they're usually eating the granola bars and the energy bars, the frozen dinners, and they're living in restaurants. And the Thai food and the Chinese food is full of oil and salt, and it keeps you stuck. Oil is liquid fat in a bottle. There's nothing healthy about olive oil. You don't want to pour it on your food. It's not heart healthy. It makes arteries stiff and thick. See these oils are what they are. Same thing with nuts and dried fruits. Don't sit in front of the TV and shovel in handfuls of dried apricots or handfuls of cashews. Oh, well, I'm a vegan, so it's all plant food. It's okay. It's okay. No, it's not. That's gluttony, and it's going to keep you stuck. Your body wants to start burning fat overnight. If you're eating late at night, you prevent your body from getting into fat burning gear. So come 6 or 7 in the evening, be done with food already, and let your body start burning off some fat. And again, eating consciously is one thing, unconscious shoveling is something else. And don't become a shoveler. If you kick out this stuff and fill your belly full of whole, fresh plant foods, you're going to wind up lean and healthy. Okay, so it's the definitive treatment for our obesity epidemic. Vegan diet is the only treatment shown to reverse the biggest killer in this country, and that is clogged arteries, that is atherosclerosis causing heart attacks and strokes. Here's what an artery looks like when it's got these evil plaques pushing in from the artery wall, and this is what kills the patient. These are fresh, like abscesses on the wall that does not show up in a calcium score. Sorry for the confusing diagram, but these little particles, this is bad cholesterol. This is LDL cholesterol, usually from a meat-based diet and oxidized with sugar and alcohol. These oxidized cholesterol particles get into the wall of the arteries. These immune cells called macrophages come in to gobble them up. When they do, it generates a whole bunch of stuff called free radicals, reactive oxygen species. And these are nasty. These inflame the artery walls. And that's what these plaques are. They are gobbled up cholesterol particles full of free radicals and inflammatory substances. So what? Well, the so what is that this is an artery, a lot of blood coming out from the top, and the lining, the epithelial lining starts thinning, and it cracks, it ruptures, exposed cholesterol sets off a clot here, and a clot forms, and the guy drops dead in the gym from a sudden blockage of his arteries. One death every 33 seconds, that's a 9/11 disaster every 24 hours due to this. The good news, a whole food vegan diet will reverse this. Why? Because all those green and yellow vegetables are full of these lovely phytonutrients that neutralize the free radicals. You see the nasty immune cells start out-migrating. They leave the plaque. And here you see the reversal of it. You see the plaque start getting smaller here. They get smaller and smaller and smaller. You see this lining over the top starts getting thicker and thicker as it starts repairing itself. Your bone marrow is constantly spraying out stem cells that are constantly, like new paving stones, repaving the inside of your artery. Your bone marrow is always trying to heal your arteries if you'll let it do it. So yes, this is an imminently reversible disease. They can and do heal, but it takes a whole food vegan diet to do that. If the cardiologist is still letting his patients eat cheeseburgers and fried chicken, of course he's going to say, oh, they all get worse, they all need statins, they all need stents. Yes, doctor, because you're not talking about what they're eating. Put them on a whole food vegan diet and watch this disease reverse. Here you see from Dr. Esselstyn's book, here you see a man, a heart surgeon actually, with severe narrowing of his artery disease. Put him on a whole food plant-based diet. 30 months later, same artery, you can see the tremendous increase in blood flow. It's the reversible disease. And it's the only thing. So you can stent them up the wazoo till the cows come home. There's always going to be another place to stent. It's a total body disease. It has to be cleaned up on the total arterial tree through a diet. The third reason a doctor should care, red meat, an animal-based diet is full of carcinogens that cause cancer. There is a long, dismal history of the association of animal flesh with all types of cancer, certainly in the gastrointestinal tract. What happens, the blood pigments in the muscle. Well, once you cook meat, very active cooking meat creates carcinogens that rub on the gut wall and sets off cancers. But once the hunk of meat gets down into the intestine, the bacteria down there jump into the meat mass, and the bacteria start oxidizing the heme and the blood pigments and turn them into carcinogens. So meanwhile, because the person's usually constipated and the fecal mass is moving so slowly through the colon, these carcinogens have a lot of time to rub on the colon wall, and indeed, it's no accident that most of the colon cancers happen in the descending and sigmoid colon, where all this exposure time happens. Well, a whole food vegan diet takes all that away, and it actually promotes bacteria that heal the gut wall and prevent cancers. In case you haven't heard, we are on the verge of bankruptcy from a number of sources, and our healthcare system is a major driving force of this. And I would take every physician in the country, every hospital administrator, but certainly my fellow MDs, and I would say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what your specialty is. If you're a surgeon, an internist, endocrinologist, rheumatologist, dermatologist, pediatrician, the vast majority of people who are sitting in your waiting room are there because of what they are eating. Until we deal with it, we're going to be chasing this tiger that is loose on the countryside with no hope of catching it. We've got to get real about the cause of these diseases. Dr. Mills was eloquent last night laying out the list of diseases that are directly driven by a meat and dairy-based diet. All the inflammatory diseases, acne, psoriasis, asthma, inflammatory arthritis, bowel disease, colitis, Crohn's, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart attack, strokes, constipation, diverticulitis, autoimmune disease. It's from the American diet. I watch with dismay as our National Institutes of Health spend billions, tens of billions of dollars looking for the cause of obesity, the cause of type 2 diabetes, the cause of clogged arteries. Makes me want to take the biggest soapbox I can find, plop it down in the middle of Washington, D.C. and yell, "It's the food! It's the food! It's what they're eating! Look at what they're eating!" But if you can prevail on your patients and turn the light on and work with them to adopt a plant-based diet, it's miraculous what happens. And the transformations are stunning. And it's the most fun type of medicine to practice. When I was a young doc, we would have people in the ICU, we got to put them on beta blockers for pressure and antiarrhythmics for its heart rhythm, and antibiotics for its artery inflammation. And boy, we'd load them up with pills by the time they left. Now, you get them on a whole food plant-based diet and watch these wonderful changes happen, their whole body transforms. And then the fun is you can say, oh, we can get them off that pill, oh, let's stop that one, oh, it doesn't need that one anymore, oh, let's get rid of that one, oh, it doesn't need that one. Now the fun is getting them off their medication, getting them canceling that surgery, and turn them into lean, healthy people that I don't want to see again. And God bless them. On their own. It's the most fun kind of medicine. My colleagues would only open their doors and their minds to it. Medicine would become fun again once your patients get healthy. So these are the main reasons I would tell my physician colleagues why you want to open the door in your mind to a whole food plant-based diet. But what about Joe Sixpack? Well, what's going to convince him? Well, he hates being overweight. I don't care what he says. When he gets out in the shower and he looks in the mirror, he tests what he sees. Well, as I just said, this is the easiest way to lose weight because you can eat all the food you want and you still wind up lean and healthy. This is guilt-free eating. You don't have to count calories. You don't have to portion control, all that stuff. It's ridiculous. If you want to go back for a third bowl of vegetable soup, who cares? It's vegetable soup. It's all fiber and water. You're going to pee it out. It doesn't stick to you. And that's the beauty of this. And the food is glorious. All these wonderful soups and stews and chilies and goulash and pozzoles and chowders. It's a delicious, wonderful cuisine. It's not lettuce and raisins and out of the, being a social outcast. If you're not familiar with dietitian Jeff Novick, he's got a couple of nice videos, his fast food, the basics and down the basics, on how to whip up a dynamite chili in 10 minutes that you can eat off of for 3 days in the fridge. So you only have to cook twice a week. These big bad soups and chilies. I tell them to get a crock pot and take all your ingredients, all the water, the rice, and the beans, and the veggies, and the seasonings. Put in your crock pot, put it on, put the lid on, hit the button, go to bed. It cooks all night. Next morning, there it is. If you're going to be home all day, turn it down to low, and every time you walk into the kitchen, lay down a bowl of soup and chow down, have all you want. This is guilt-free eating. They say, oh, but I work, and there's only lousy food in the cafeteria, and I'm hungry when I get on the way home when I stop. I say, fair enough, don't play victim to this, to that. Take your healthy food with you. Get yourself down the corner, get yourself a little cooler pack, and before you leave the kitchen door, 3 things go in the kitchen, in the cooler pack. A big wide mouth thermos jug, 2 or 3 of them if you like, full of your fresh soup. A big salad with a no-oil dressing. And a container of cut up melon chunks and mango slices and grapes and blackberries, bite-sized fruit. And you eat your way through your work day. And you take a pull of your chili or your soup and throw in a couple of grapes and on to your next task. And by the time you get home, if you've eaten 3 thermoses of soup and a big salad and some fruit, the golden hour to eat will tell you on the way home. And here Jeff Novick's one on fast food burgers and fries. He shows you how to make. Whip up one Saturday morning about 30 really delicious lentil, veggie, quinoa, spice burgers or whatever. Put them in the freezer. I got a freezer full of veggie burgers. Bring them out, eat them. Make life easy for yourself. So, tell him it's the quickest way to lose weight. He's been struggling with it. He's done Weight Watchers and OA and all that stuff. He just wants to eat, so you can let him do that. Second, get him, tell him you want to get off these pills. They hate being on the pills, and they don't take them. Studies clearly show you can put them on statins and hypertensive agents and all stuff. Within 6 months, 80% of them, they've stopped. They're not even taking them anyway, and they're expensive. How'd you like to get off your blood pressure medications? How'd you like to get off your metformin? How'd you like to get off your anti-inflammatories? You can offer that to them. Their energy level goes up. I'm tired all the time. Yeah, it's like schlepping around a 50-pound bag of rocks wherever they go. They're carrying 50 pounds of fat on them. As they trim down, man, they put that bag of rocks down. They've got energy. It feels wonderful. And not only does their energy level get better, so does their function in the bedroom. What happens? Well, there's a law in physics, Poiseuille's law, that says, don't let your eyes glaze over. But the quantity of liquid flowing through a tube will increase by the 4th power of the increase of the radius. And that means that vessel 1 here has a radius of x. If you make it twice as big, the water flowing through it does not go up by a factor of 2. It goes up by a factor of 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It goes up by a factor of 16. And you know this, if you're sucking juice up through a skinny straw, even a straw twice as big will make a huge increase in the amount of liquid that you get out. That's Poiseuille's law. Well, it happens everywhere in the body, not just juice through a straw, but blood going through blood vessels. As the arteries start to open up just a little bit, you get this huge increase in blood flow all over the body, to the brain, to the heart, to the legs, and to the genitals, as the guys find out much of their delight in the bedroom. So blood vessels everywhere start opening up, and it happens quickly within weeks. Their self-image improves. He doesn't look like looking like he is, like a fat old guy that nobody looks at. They get leaner, their confidence goes up, and they start noticing changes. And you know, it's subtle, and that makes your nose listening. You know what they notice? Doc, I don't smell so bad anymore. My wife says my body odor is, it's not, it used to be really rank. She says I smell really sweet. Is it my imagination? No, it's not. When you eat the flesh of animals, the bacteria in your gut turns many of the proteins in the meat into foul-smelling molecules with lovely names like cadaverine and putrescine. And these are well, for real, look them up. And these are foul-smelling, and they're fat soluble, so they get into the skin oils, and it comes out on their skin. These guys with a manly body odor, that's from the steak and the burgers that he's been eating. Well, on a vegan diet, they'll disappear, and so body odor goes away. And then he wants to make sure the door's closed, and he says, nah, I don't know, it's my imagination. And I'm surprised they use a scientific term here. They say, you know what else has got better? What? My farts don't smell anymore. How can that be? Very simple. When you're eating eggs and flesh, you're eating a huge amount of sulfur compounds that the bacteria in your gut turn into these foul-smelling sulfides and mercaptans that smell shitty. Well, on a vegan diet, you eat very little of that, and so even the intestinal gas smells better. They really find it smelling sweet, and they start looking better, and it certainly improves their self-image. And they find that they have more time and money. It's expensive to be a medical patient, to spend your whole week going from the internist to the cardiologist, to the endocrinologist, to the orthopedist, to the rheumatologist. This takes time, this takes money, these are expensive drugs. Well, suddenly, they cancel their appointment with the rheumatologist, they cancel the endocrinologist, their diabetes goes away. And suddenly they got time and money for some fun. And finally, the food tastes great. And, you know, I don't eat, it's all that vegan, it's all so bland. Man, make it Italian style, Chinese style, East Indian, Thai, go crazy with the cuisine. You know, don't go overboard with the oil and the salt. But tell them that, you know, make it delicious food. And the food is really, really key. It's got to taste good. My hats off and my admiration to all the chefs out there and the food preparers who make this food taste good, because it is absolutely pivotal. So, Joe Sixpack, in some ways, is equally, well, he's more important than the doctors there. Is he hopeless? No, he's far from hopeless. Actually, this is a patient really in my medical practice who got tired of looking like this, and he jumped on a vegan diet. Within 12 weeks, turned out to be a whole other guy with no background. And he's been a devoted vegan ever since. So I've summarized the things that I think are the most convincing points to tell both the health practitioners and patients that we've just gone through here. So, the most convincing argument, here's that word argument, and I stiffen and bridle a little bit when I see the word argument. I have to rely on one of our great teachers, Mahatma Gandhi, who said, example is not the best way to teach. Example is the only way to teach. Before you start wagging your finger, and you should, turn that hand back at yourself in the mirror there. Just do it yourself. Just make up a dynamite chili or a stew and hey, chili on the stove, help yourself. Don't say anything, just start doing it yourself. Hey, salad in the fridge, help yourself. Steam up some greens, make a chili, make some really dynamite food, and just start eating it yourself. Because there's so many people saying, oh, my husband's never going to go for this, my kids aren't going to go, oh, my daughter-in-law's going to think. It's nothing to do with them. If God forbid you get a heart attack or a stroke or breast cancer, it's only you in that hospital bed. It's not your husband, it's not your daughter-in-law, it's not the guys at work, it's only you. This is serious business. You only get one go around this life. You don't want to spend it as a medical patient. You start doing it yourself. You watch what it is. You may get a little joshing at the start begins. But as the days go on, the weeks go by, you watch what the spouse and the kids and the people they stop. When you start transforming, they stop making snide remarks there. They start saying, hey, that smells pretty good, mind if I have some? Your progress and your example will be a gift to your friends and your family, and you don't need to say a word. Don't get into big conflicts on anything that's not worth it. Just let your example do the talking. So, vegan food diplomacy. Know the facts. Everything you heard today and yesterday, these are profound facts about what's happening with the water and global warming. warming, and this is there. You've got to know this stuff. It's so important. It puts that air of authority and urgency in your voice. This is here. We are running out of time here, and we owe the kids. We've screwed up their world. It's their world. We owe them a rescue. And you're going to do that by helping everybody turn the vegan light on in their minds and in their heart. But the food is really key. I don't want to taste bland or whatever, but man, you put that tofu lasagna in your mouth, and their eyes get big. Oh, I could eat that. Oh, that's a vegan food. Oh, that's not so bad. I could eat that. Yes. And now you're making some progress. You put that delicious vegan food in their mouth, and you change their world, and you start opening their mind and their heart to a new and healthier way to live. So, so those are the main points that I wanted to cover here. There's a lot to say here. It ultimately comes down to delicious food and the desire in your heart for things to be better. These people that you love and people you haven't even met yet, you got to love them too. It's all us. There is no them. There never has been. There has been an illusion since day one. We're one family. We're one tribe. We need each other, and we need everybody to be healthy and happy. There's no adversaries here. There's just people who haven't woken up yet. But the desire, I mean, we're all healers. This world needs healing. Your life needs healing. The people you love, their lives need healing. If you saw a little girl fall off her bike and scrape her knee, you'd reach over there, your heart would open, and you reach over and scoop her up, and you'd hug her, and you want to let her know her world's going to be okay. That essence of healing is what is needed on every level. From the person you see in the mirror, that person needs to be loved and healed. The people you're making breakfast for, the people at work, the people on the news, that everybody's in need of healing. And it starts with a heart that wants things to be better, and a mind that knows that a life of ahimsa, a life of dynamic harmlessness, a life who's manifesting purity of heart, that the four most important words that you can utter in any situation are, how can I help? What can I do? How can I make things better? Because people need your love. And it starts by the example you set in eating a vegan diet, talking about it, and truly becoming a person of peace, which is really what all this is about. So I am so honored to have been here and be able to address you. I'm inspired. And what you heard about Margaret Mead, who said, never underestimate the power of a small group of determined people to change the course of human history. And indeed, that's the only thing that ever has. But now with the internet, now with Facebook and Twitter and all this, and the energy of the young people, if there's anything that gives me hope, it's young people and the internet. And they have an energy and the technology to get this word out, and it's stunning how quickly things can change. I grew up with the Berlin Wall, that big, dark, ugly edifice of fear and totalitarianism, and it was stunning to see that wall come down within weeks. That's the power of truth, that's the power of the heart. So now we've got to help help all the human family turn its page on this dark, dark chapter of animal eating, embrace all of life. And we will be the generation of transformation that save the world and save the future. So I'm honored to be part of it. Go out and do your part. Medical education up to this point has treated nutrition worse than a poor sister. It's downright contempt. The doctors, when I went to medical school, the Pleistocene age, we were taught that we do real medicine. We're in the emergency room fixing broken arms and sewing up lacerations and delivering babies. Nutrition, boring. Send them to the dietitian. She'll give them a 2,000 calorie diet. Don't bother. So the older doctors were not taught about nutrition. They have contempt for it, they don't understand the power of it. And it ultimately comes down to the most venal of reasons, is their own filet mignon that they want to have tonight, and the lobster thermidor they had last night, and it means they have to change their own diet, look in their own refrigerator. Well, they don't want to do that for all the reasons that you know well. So it's a matter of ignorance and inertia and arrogance and defiance, and it's an ultimate tragedy. I'm embarrassed for my profession.
Is it a matter of no companies paying them?
I'm sorry?
Is it a matter of conflict of interest with no companies?
I don't think it's so much the drug companies. I'm just saying it's about insurance companies. Well, that's a valid point, because insurance companies pay only for doing things, for cutting people and putting needles into them. Talking to them, they don't pay you for. And I spend an hour with the patient doing this nutritional counseling. I get $22. You can't keep the lights on for that. So absolutely, and the insurance companies are fools, because if they would put the money out for the counseling, they wouldn't have to pay for the coronary bypass down the road for not talking to the patient about it. Now Kaiser is giving lip service to plant-based diets, because their stockholders are starting to demand that if you can do nutritional counseling, they're going to save billions in surgery not done, scans not ordered, etc. So if anything's going to make a change, one, it will be the insurance compensation, and go to the Kaiser website and put in plant-based diet, you'll see that they are at least giving lip service to it. When my patients go to Kaiser and I ask them, did your doctor, the primary care doctor you saw there really talked about plant-based? They said, nah, I don't mention it yet. But at least it's on their website, at least they've opened the door to it. But also, let's see, what else can I say? The hope again is with the young people. I'm getting reports that the first-year med students are demanding nutritional classes in nutrition and demanding classes in plant-based nutrition, because when I went to med school, when we learned about atherosclerosis, all those two words, etiology unknown. We don't know what caused it. Maybe it's genetics. We don't know the causes. Well, you can't tell the first-year med students now we don't know the cause of clogged arteries. They know, come on. So they are now demanding some plant-based nutrition courses. So that's going to change. So the wheels are starting to turn, but if the patients keep asking the doctors, it's also going to lubricate the change here. So the patients need to get educated and ask their doctors a question, but know that the wheels are starting to turn, and the insurance compensation is going to promote it. And the young med students, we got to wait for the old guys to die off there. The young med students are going to give us a better brand of medicine in the near future. Okay, all right.
Very good.
Okay. All right.